For giving HUTF in this moment of time in our society. On the 11th day of the 11th month, 2024, 11 of our brothers were betrayed, murdered, slaughtered, ambushed by the very own people that we trust and we keep our trust upon. It was very painful. So HUTF had an emergency meeting day before yesterday night. Not day before yesterday night, we had an emergency meeting last night itself, and we thought of planning this candle lighting and vigil program on in the weekend or some Friday or Saturday, but we think again and we came to a conclusion that we should do it immediately, and anyone who has a pain in the heart and who share the sufferings of our brother will come at any time, any place in this situation. That was our conviction. So based on that conviction, I have seen many of our brothers and sisters today who have heard our call and who have come to this, to the observance that we have placed tonight. Many a times, we as a brothers, we try to find differences amongst us, and many a times, many more times, God has proved to us that we are inseparable. As a blood brothers, as brethren, or whatever we may call, we cannot be separated. So once again, I thank each and everyone, every brothers, sisters, mothers, who have come together here. I want to thank all of you and welcome you and appreciate all of you for hearing our calls to this emergency candlelight vigil in remembrance of our fallen heroes. With this, I want to conclude my speech. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Lud. Kipaumin, kuni mitang tabi kongwa. Program hi kan suan to zat ding hi wa koi mo kan niom le hi atala. Inung zel ding wa tuin hi ipe na ziaw san bi pen hi tuni sangamu yunaw som khatin. Ang lo san atuna bang din mo naw ba bang chi bang din tunge chi hi brief deule. Chiang de wa kya wa Tuami presentation mo sa dingin hi unaw pa ni himi ama handing aman hi stage nama amalin tan bagin hi ako dali.
Well, hello everyone. I would like to give a brief report of what had happened in the last 1 week or so, precisely what happened on the 7th of November, as well as on 11th of November. On the 7th November 2024, 7 houses were burned down by the Meitei militants at Zairon in Ziriba. On this very day, P. Zhou Sangkim Mar of Zairon village, a mother of 3, a husband, a daughter, was shot, tortured in the most inhuman way, and then burned her to death. Words cannot describe this barbaric and inhuman act by the Meitei militants. Our deepest condolences goes to her 3 children, her husband, and to the grieving family. As we were still in a state of mourning, on the 11th November 2024, 10 of our brothers, Mar village volunteers, were brutally murdered, I would rather say cold-blooded murdered by the CRPF, who were posted at Zakrador, who who were operated under the command of a communal meeting officer who openly donate money for the Arambai Temple. On these days, our brothers approached the CRPF camp. They were made to lower their arms, which they respectfully did. With a good faith on the CRPF, the Mar village volunteers exercised respect and goodwill as there was no enmity between them with the CRPF. As they were huddling together, a bulletproof vehicle of the CRPF came and suddenly opened fire that killed 10 volunteers, 10 brothers of ours. It is an abject betrayal of trust and understanding, an atrocity that has shattered our faith in the state forces. What hurt me the most is that our brothers were murdered, cold-blooded murdered by the same force who were supposed to protect them, who were supposed to protect us. Well, many horrific, on a personal note, many horrific incidents have happened in the recent week and in the past 1.5 years. But these horrific and barbaric act in the last 1 month has shattered me, has shook me down personally. I can tell you I've never been so hopeless on a personal note in terms of our fight for our homeland. Yet tonight I stand before you with a hope because God is our living God and He's on our side. Therefore we will prevail, justice will prevail. We will prevail as a people, as a tribe, and we will have our homeland back with God on our side. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Nehemiah, for the brief report. Abana hipe ito dingwa tuini collection sina isang damte umlo na hi amau ti kal na apok sakhe tholo ini dong thole hi hoi zoding jing ai sun na kini ya to ami
you are lending to the Lord, and He will repay you. But in Christian now, but in Pate, they will be within, but in Him at Town, in the day. Vanam Kapati Tunilha, Kitinadan Hoita Nabi Uva Kanam Sumu Kasupiteo Lungzinale Lung Mona Hasana Gantena Pakai Hijalaya Kihozosin Geldo Nakaniva Amoho Untalohizongle Minuvatinga Alhagaw la sumite dalha lungmon na cham nam diwa kamannaw kingo nehin kiho chanen pakai kabol the kham kamuting kaphan ho chule kiho chen helai mona naong sunga khongkal son ki u hilovin zo kham nang ma hin thua ke mo bongen ben soi khomovin he chi sum hi pai sai nga hong ke soi lu hoi han lang online na chi he jong le na ka chana bo chana ko the na kan lang tok nahi he to kan hon chun pakai pathe na man pathe bua su the nga atam alhom chu tu chu me he kain soi khomo kai mu kham khamo he a chi na ding amun alhun na ding muna pakai a kisan adinga lummon na le lamon na ai thế là cái nam an phát triển bộ đình nào nào cái thu mình he cho nên bác gái phát triển anh tu hồ dấu xây dựng nam an phát triển bộ in à tụ nào ấm bao hồ trong vật lý hành lang ai lo vào lại hình sung hành lang à tụ nào một nam an phát triển bộ đình bộ cho nàng cái thu mình he ama wang yang tia pinoma to noma pizolo am kha jong le nang man amoding jong nana ka thu men hi akitu hozo se na ka phan lo to na pathe de bu pi vin ta chozo se chu ei hu hing pakai jesu krista na ka thu me hi amen.
The way forward, how should everyone take steps? How can each one of us participate and take part in this ongoing conflict? I don't think there is any scope of anyone staying or doing anything. We have to do anything, everything that is within our hand and within our control. So I would like to request our President to lead us through this way forward.
First of all, I'd like to thank for giving me such an opportunity to really talk about something which is really difficult. It is not an easy task, a way forward. It is something which every one of us think about it and we stumble about whenever we think. And only when there is suffering, we could come together and we talk about unities. When there is nothing as of that sort, we tend to falter and we part our ways. That is the most, that's why it is when they give me the task to talk about the way forward, I find it very difficult. And then if we have to think about the way forward, we have to analyze the real situation. We have to think in terms of not an ideal. Ideals we always can say that, okay, we'll do that. That is not exactly going to work. What is the reality? We talk about it, even the youngest who is present here will be able to say that we need unity. Okay, that has been said, but even the little existence of semblance of unity which was there, we have destroyed. Like that. So the reality is what? The reality is that we would like to really put forward the kind of goals which we set. We talk about this SA. How can we get SA? Not in terms of playing down each others. So it is not exactly that. So I'd like to put into 3 points. The first point can be what can be done here, first of all. And then what can be done is a challenge, especially for me to talk about as a president, or I'm not really sure even I'm the chairman or not, a president, as one of the leaders. And then we could not do much things. And then we tend to think that it is when there is something is going on, when there is disunity is going on, we don't feel like doing anything. That is the reality. And then among the leaders of HYD itself also, we could not converse because the players are playing different games. And in that reality, in that situation, what shall we do? Can we, in the beginnings, HYD, we thought of organizing even all the cities. That was a good plan. And I thought of working with various kind of organizations which will, the umbrella kind of organizations, which they tried. Corsum they tried, Join they tried, and then it could not. So in that situation, we are in that desperate situation when it comes to unity. But if we just think about the reality, unity, when we talk about India, we can say that unity in diversity. But in case of us, it is diversity in the midst of unity. We are already one. We are from one particular genealogies and all these things. See, in Mexico, the Mexicans can trace their generation 300, 400. But when we try to trace our clan line lineage, it is not beyond 50, 60. It didn't go beyond that. No. And then amongst the Hindu, whom they have to marry 4 generations from the mother's side, 5 generations from the mother's side and 7 generations from the father's side, they cannot get married. But most of us, whom we think that we are different tribe, we are closer than those people whom they think that they cannot get married. That much closeness we have. Just a little bit of that little things which we emphasize, the dialect which we understand each other. It is not even a dialect in the linguistic term, it is a kind of an accent. And then some kind of a local varieties only. So it is not that. The reality is that we are already one. We have shared, and then everything is crisscrossing. The clans, the dialects, and everything is crisscrossing. And then here, our secretary let Kulun what kind of dialect he is speaking, we know. So we are already one, and that we are too close. That's why we could not really come together, because we are scared of each other. That is the reality. But if we just look at our neighbors, the Nagas, let's say, they are too quite apart, and they could not understand each other, their languages. That's why they don't have any problems in assimilation and cultural relations or other kind of things. So, but we cannot make use of our strength. The strength which we have is that we can communicate each other. One of my teachers in JNU, TK Woman, says that for a nation to have exist, only 2 things are prerequisite. One is communication in terms of language, and then another. We have all this. We can agala a power don't take it here. That shows that we are not different. When you talk about in terms of clans, we are not different. Even among the Taro speaking also, we will see Guite and then who are over there. So Singson will be speaking even Mar, and then all those various other, because we have shared our history together. We have been living together for quite some time, that we shared our history together. All those things which is required to really establish a nation, all the raw materials are there. The only thing is that we cannot make use of it. we tend to think that we are going to lose something. The more you lose from this kind of a process, the more you're going to gain. If we know that one, of course, we'll come together easily. And then most of the things, as we are, but when it comes to identity, the kind of a false consciousness, just like Marxians will say, just like the false sentiment which we have with our tribes. That is something, a kind of a false sentiment which we have. In fact, because there is no clear-cut, clean tribe, which you can say that totally they are different. The Tado also, there will be some of the people from my clan, among the Tado speaking. Among the Bar also, there will be some Tado speaking, supposed to be Tado Bay, which we consider. That kind of crisscrossing is there, which I have done even in my thesis also. So the reality is we have to really work from the reality. Now, if I switch on to my own language, so many of you will understand, but because of Nehemiah from Assam, that's what I'm speaking in English. It doesn't mean that it is a bad thing, because your presence here make it complete. We have to think in that tone, because we are of the same blood. So we have to recognize each other. We have to appreciate each other, and then only we'll be able to work together. If you are looking down to your own brothers, then you will not be able to work with them. So the most important thing is that we have to recognize each other. We have to recognize our strengths and weakness, and pull all those strengths which we have together, and then make it an energy. There is a simple point which I've been saying, though I don't know the authors. If all the eggs in the world becomes one egg, hey people, and if all the men become one human being, if all the oceans become one ocean, if the big man, using the big eggs, cut the big tree, if it falls on the big ocean, what a splash it would be, what a sound, thunderous sound it would give. That is the kind of unity which we have to. But one thing is that we have to appreciate, we have to recognize each other, instead of trying to do away or demean some others. We have to recognize our contributions, and then we will be able to come together, we'll be able to work together. And so what we are suffering right now, a French scholar, Ernest really says it, suffering together, unite more than joy. So the suffering which we are having now, right now, our brothers, the fallen brothers, our fallen heroes, our fallen martyrs, if we can make use of it, that one, to strengthen our unity, to strengthen our working together, to really make a room for each other, then only that suffering will unite us. And then if we are in joy, if we are happy, I don't think it will be difficult really if everyone is successful. Victory doesn't bring people together much, but suffering really brings people together. And then if they can make use of their suffering, it reminds me of one situation when the first time I joined my job in Jamia University. I was with one of my colleagues. Our director was really a bad boss, that kind of a typical way. And then we cannot go to the library also, we just have to sit in the 15 square meters of rooms with a side fan, not even a ceiling fan. We suffered together. That's when our bond was really strong. Now, can we make use of that suffering which we are having right now, which we suffered, because many of the things which we have been facing, many of becoming IDP, which we have never dreamed of. Is alma ngasing mak nam ni lok mo. To IDP kiswa. Katina, we did a refugee to Hong Swell. Mang boy and the spot na, Igam Hilo Yam Jina, Igam Hima, we have to work together. How can we work together? First, we have to do some kind of analysis. And then, as I say, first, what we can do here is, even the HYD can take initiative, that is one thing. But what can you do from where you are? And then maybe we can start a new kind of a Twitter war or various other things. From Hyderabad, we will not be able to do much. And then the only thing is that what are the kind of narrative which we have to do again? Because we have to rejuvenate ourselves. In the beginning, of course, even in HU also, all the students come together and we do some that kind of a little bit of a Twitter war kind of things. But we could not do it much anymore because it died down. The spirit died down because the way we work together really don't bring together. Or the way we work. If we work together, of course, it will bring together. The way we work, it is, instead of merging, it is diverging. And that is the problem which we are facing. Can we really have? We are brother in Christ. We can make use of that one. And we are brothers when it comes to if we are just looking at it in terms of ethnicity. We are one again. And then is there anything where we cannot really communicate to really forge a nations or ethnic nations or a kind of a political entity? No, we can converge with others. You speak your language, I speak my language, and we don't have any problems. There are all the raw materials that we have to forge. If the iron is there, and then if we don't forge, it will never become a knife. But if we forge, it can become a knife, it can become a weapon. It is only that we have to work through. We have to forge that. If we want unity, we have to forge that. It will not be at overnight, but we have to work through that one. Instead of diverging, if we are working and we do recognition, recognizing each other, the little strengths which we have, the little contributions which we have, then only bitterness between us we will be able to do away with that. So that is one thing which I like to. So in here we can do that kind of things. I think our compeers, both of them are good at that one. They'll think about it, what we can do here. But the next thing is that what can be done as an individual. Of course, there is various ways. Just that don't hate your own brothers as an individual. Don't display or don't forward the message which is not really good for our community. That very fact also, as an individual, you can do that. If you forward something which really is pricking one community and then the other community, and then you can merge all those the major things which are similar. That is, now here we are staying in Telangana. Don't think that all the Telugu are speaking the same language. It is the South Andhra, the Telugu is different from the North Telangana and Telugu. But they understand each other, at the same time they understand the standard Telugu. That kind of things is very much, it is not only among us. Even if you go to England, if you go to various other places, so it is existed. But they used to promote certain kind of a standard which they can use for communication. And then that is what I really want you to encourage our leaders to emphasize on our unity in terms of ethnicities, even in various other things. And that is the way forward is something which in war, during war, though we don't declare war against them, they declare war against us. That's so that we can call it a war. During that time, of course, as I'm not, trained in combat or the kind of military technique, I will not be able to say much about that. But one thing, if there is anyone who is influential about that one, there has to be certain kind of a technique which we have to discuss about that. And then these, our foreign brothers also, why we have to analyze why it happens. And then any kind of government programs also, if you just look at West and when they started, they do situational analysis. They studied everything. Only then when it is made sure they only launch. The pilot project also, that kind of thing. The same thing can be applied even in war also. We have to study. We have to study more and more about it and then know our enemy much closer than our own rivals. Then only we will be able to tackle them. That is also another kind of a technique which people talk about that. And then the main thing which I would like to emphasize is that today is whatever we have achieved together, instead of dismantle it again or destroy it, let it grow. And then whatever we have put together, our historical achievement, let's celebrate it together. Let it grow. And then on that basis, and then on that reality, because history, sometimes we achieve a certain kind of a unity, and then we dismantle it again, and then we are starting it again in various forms. That will not work. History is something which will be the base and the foundations of our future. If we don't really construct it, if we don't really make the foundation strong, that is our history, even in writings, even in narrating and in various ways, then our future will collapse. The only thing is that history is politics. And then let's take care of our history properly, because with that foundations of our history, our historical background, then only we'll be able to forge our future together, celebrate our history together, and then know our history together, and then share our common history together. All the things will be something which will really work for us if we have to forge our future together. Forging is something which is not a very easy thing, but only when we have the will to do that. For that matters, we should be able to sacrifice. Without sacrificing, you will never be able to forge. To forge, even assured, many of the various things which is not required has been shaken off by hitting again and again. And then in that situation, last time I said it is a times when we are now also it is, if we have to forge our future together, and then if we have to work together, we need to sacrifice something which we really consider it as the most valuable for that. The moment you try to, you are able to part with that, then only you'll be able to come together. And then most of the times, for example, that too much of clinging on to your own tribe, and then that kind of things will never work. But that is something which is important still. If we recognize each other, if we recognize even in the family also, if our brothers and all that kind of things, and their uniqueness, if we recognize, then only we'll be able to forge together. So sometimes to forge together our future, we need a sacrifice. And then those sacrifices not necessarily in terms of sacrificing your life and all that things, but the sentiment, the ethnic sentiment which you constructed has to be dismantled, and then we'll be able to forge our future together. And then I will not be able to, I'll not be taking much time. So in right now, the reality is that we need to recognize each other, and then respect each other, honor each other, and then try to forge, and then make a projection together, and then meet more. There are leaders who called me, I told them, why don't you meet each other? And then they said that I am ready, but there is no one to build a cake. And then it is time for us, we can even try from here with the platform, if you want we can build a case and then we can bring people together if we really committed so. Yeah, this is something which I like to, because it is a very difficult task for me to really talk about how to go ahead. What is the way forward at this critical juncture? Obviously, if we can materialize, capitalize our suffering, that is the main things that will be able to bind us together. And the more we are coming together and becoming stronger, we will be able to win over even our enemy. The first enemy is nothing. It's not the Meitei. It is our differences, emphasizing of our differences. If we don't emphasize our differences, little differences which we have, if we emphasize on our similarity and that our oneness, then only we'll be able to defeat the first enemy. The second enemy can be a Meitei or any other community who declare war against us. So now it is time for us to think that we should forge our future together by sitting across the table, by calling each others, and then recognizing each others. This is something which I would like to say tonight, and then thank you for the time. I really feel sad to hear that as we are not really working together, only some section, some community has to bear the brunt. Had we been together, here it will not be this kind of name only. It will be various kind of a very lovely combinations of names, which we have to try. If we really want to say that we work together, even this kind of banners also have to manifest that we work together. I would like to close, and I pay my tribute to all those fallen martyrs, our brothers, our beloved one. I convey my condolence to your families. Thank you.
This ongoing ethnic conflict. Now, I would like to add an example. I would like to add some sentence to it. We are, every now and then we come across a lot of hatred or a lot of rumors to separate us. Or I'm not sure, is it fortunately, unfortunately, God created a scene where we all have to come together. And I think it is a sign that God really wants us to work together, hand in hand, and not go by our own tribe or by our own caste. So I think it's a very good example, and it's really a huge time to reflect ourselves, why God always calls us together. And especially in Hyderabad context, I think it's pretty clear. We set a very good example. I think it is the only city in India that, an organization like HYD can bring everyone together. I'm not really sure if it's happening in other states or other, cities. But I think Hyderabad should be an example, and we should continue to be an example for the rest of the states in India. President Panangyan bangin hit. Elo he ikishen now he iflect po a hilo le light hiwa. Hinanazom anama mahile. Iken now neono pa dinale kigom kom now hu isina himo hima. Kigom kom te hi. Husi lo chang atil neono no win hi ang khenzel pen hi poi mama hi ngai so than leo. Don't you think it's too much to pay for, right? Why do we have to die so that we have to come together? We can come together without dying. Why should we die? I think it's a great time to reflect ourselves, think over it. Tunia pe kom tingin pang hom na lung sim nei chia le hi tunia e ting initiative la thei chia le hi to na mo na mo. Ki daidan na ki khen na a hi lo le ki muda na message se forward lo wa e ma pan mon chele pan thei chen pan nei hi tuni ni effective ma ma ding ki ding dai hu ze ni tuni ni hi hatuang pastor te kang handinga hozo cheng hi HUDF advisors te ong mo ya mai lamang pe leu chen HUDF advisors te le pastor te pe wan lan candle ya pastors ten ho mo hel lan mi pite kha ni pe ding wa ya I stage sunga hi ilam tan bang chera light I candle hi light to ding hi wa ilam candle te hilang nang toy the ulang toy leu chen ma humi sungin hi unaw nu melina kang chial ki dinga aman hi candle lighting sungin hi la de nang sa pening sa the hela abele zong repeat sa the la hela ile hi pe nuam de ding ta do ma ama hi ta yin kang chial dinga okay ya atong on ya atong lama oh amau mipite kadai cha nowa pada like pass on mo ya atong lama ide mo candle ki drop khala I would like to invite Sister Marina to once again present the song while we continue the candle lighting. I would also request her to repeat the songs in case we are not done with the candle lighting, and we'll continue lighting the candle. I'll request once the pastors are ready, I would like to request each one of you to come forward, light your candle and place the candle there in the first step. I hope it's clear. And ushers are there to guide in case you need any help. Candle light sulung hi isangam te tunya mong lo san te thain ai sun bawi ai sangam you now in confusion the ya mi ken khada ding ta na om te a ding zo mi kin ai pi mama email thi mama zo mong ding kan ta hitela in sum bi zo the ya to ase ni tunya ai te igam le ina ma ding a si nau ko ko na wa te za ta na sam pe pe ni candle lighting mo pan liwa first line of an independent wa mani all in bilang kat ni tin la tin candle candle te ko mo tin ni mo ila pan ni ila mati ila ma pe la hila mati ila ma oh